Is there any among you four that do not believe that this was premeditated? Does everybody agree that this was something that he worked on and had in his mind, if he is in fact the killer here? And we have to say alleged because he is pleading innocent here and saying he didn't do this. So if he is the one, does anybody think that this was impulse, or does everybody think that this was premeditated?
Even the timing of it, Dr. Phil, if in fact suspect Kohberger is the killer, it was right before he was changing the plates on his car. We know that his license plates were expiring November 30. The murders happened on November 13th. And then he goes in, if in fact he committed these murders, on November 18th, he gets new plates. The difference is that in PA, you don't have plates in the front and the back of the car. You only have it in the back of the car. Once you change it to Washington plates, you have plates on both the front and the back of the car. So if you want to commit these crimes surreptitiously, hide the identity of who the owner of the car is. And you do that more efficiently if you don't have a license plate staring at the security cameras.
And I said, I don't believe in coincidences. I just don't. I'm sorry. I've been at this too long to believe in coincidence. And if the roommate gave an accurate description of what she saw, if this was impulse, it would just be blind luck that he was in all black. And
with a mask.
With a mask. And that's just the night they impulse decide to hack 4 people to death.
I think the evidence that we have and that we know of that was shown in the affidavit shows proof that anybody who wants to think that this was just not premeditated, then they're not looking at the totality of the evidence. And that's always very important if you're gonna look at something like this, is to look at the totality of circumstances. The fact that he was there so many times before and he doesn't live in that neighborhood. And then that night, the vehicle that is the exact description of the vehicle that he drives was in that neighborhood and made 4 passes by that home at the same time he turned his phone off and then turned it back on. It just shows that he was there, he was thinking about this, working it out, working it up, and even that night, he waited until the house shut down, right? So even that shows that it wasn't just that he was passing by and he jumped out and went into the house. He literally drove by numerous times until the house shut down, and even after the DoorDash, he went in.
I think the house in and of itself also shows that it was premeditated. Whomever perpetrated the quadruple homicide had to know the layout of the house. Yes. It is a weird house. It has 3 floors. There's bedrooms scattered on different floors. There's staircases in odd places. There's a slider on the back. The 2nd floor is the ground level on the back. It's a weird house. And based on what the surviving roommate told police, he wasn't banging around, he wasn't knocking things over, he wasn't causing a ruckus. It sounded like the killer knew exactly where they were going, and they knew exactly where they were going when they left.
What I'm hoping for here is that they have checked out all of the closet areas. Any place someone could sequester themselves, if a perpetrator was of a mind and that door was chronically open, they could have gone into that location and nested essentially for periods of time. And there are people that have certain sexual proclivities that fall into this particular typology where, let's put it plainly, they're panty sniffers. And they'll go into these areas, they'll collect items, they'll observe. And forensically, one of the things that would be very fascinating here is to see if there is any DNA that might be connected to this individual that's contained in these sequestered areas, if it's touch DNA or if it's generated from some bodily fluid that's left behind. I think that would be important.
Right, and you're bringing up a great point there, because how would he know the house?
Yeah. Right.
And the way he would know the house, I don't think he is someone that would be invited to the house.
But it was a party house, Dr. Phil. He could have slipped in.
Well, that's what I mean. He wouldn't necessarily have been invited by one of the 4 roommates, but he could have come in during a party. He could have slipped in. That, as you say, that door is chronically open. He could have come and gone when they weren't there. He could have been in one of those closets, nesting, slipping in, slipping out without committing another crime. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.